Get ready for another gripping tale on Storytime Audio. Today's story dives into the hidden secrets and double lives in The Double Life: Secrets of a Cheating Wife. On a sunny Tuesday afternoon in May 2023, what seemed like a perfect day soon unravels into a web of deception and heartbreak for Tom and Anna, a seemingly happy couple living in Denver. Join us as we uncover the shocking truths that lie beneath the surface of their idyllic life. It was a sunny Tuesday afternoon in May 2023. The air was warm with a gentle breeze blowing through the trees, making the leaves rustle softly. Tom and Anna were expecting company. Their friends Rachel and Ben were coming over for dinner. The two couples had been close friends since Tom and Anna moved to Denver 3 years ago. They often spent weekends together, enjoying dinners, neighborhood parties, or simply relaxing with a movie or a stroll through the local park. They were all in their late 20s, college graduates, dealing with the usual adult responsibilities like careers and student loans. Tom worked as an architect, and his job allowed him to stay local most of the time. Anna, on the other hand, was an accountant. Both of them led relatively stable lives with minimal travel requirements. In contrast, Ben and Rachel had more dynamic schedules due to their jobs. Ben was in sales, and his territory often took him to different cities across the country, including New York, San Francisco, Chicago, and Atlanta. Rachel worked in marketing, which occasionally required her to travel for conferences and client meetings. That particular Tuesday, Ben had to leave for a business trip to New York. He had just said his goodbyes and taken a cab to the airport. This left Rachel to spend the evening with Tom and Anna. The plan was simple: a relaxed dinner, some good conversation, and maybe a game or two afterward. Tom liked these quiet gatherings. They were a welcome break from the hectic workweek. After Ben left, Tom went to the garage to tidy up his workbench, a small ritual he enjoyed. The garage was his sanctuary, filled with tools, unfinished projects, and the comforting smell of wood and oil. He liked to keep things organized, and cleaning his workbench was a way to clear his mind. While he was there, he decided to check on the home security system they had recently installed. With the rise in break-ins in their neighborhood, Tom had invested in a comprehensive security setup. Microphones and cameras were installed in every room, feeding into a server in the attic connected to their cloud account. He could check any room using an app on his phone or any accessible computer. As Tom was verifying the system, he overheard a conversation between Anna and Rachel in the kitchen. He didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the microphones picked up everything clearly. Rachel's voice had a concerned tone. "How was your last trip?" Rachel asked. Anna's reply was casual, almost dismissive. "Same as always: work, dinner, bar, and finally some sleep." Rachel hesitated before asking, "Is it true what they say about people straying from their families on business trips?" There was a significant pause from Anna. Tom's ears perked up. "What was this about?" "I wouldn't worry too much, Rachel," Anna said, taking a sip of her drink. "Ben always comes back home, right?" "Yes, but I wonder what he does when he's alone," Rachel said, her voice tinged with anxiety. Anna reassured her friend. "He comes back home to you. Don't pay attention to what happens when he's not here." Tom felt a knot form in his stomach. Anna's words were meant to be comforting, but there was something about her tone, a hint of acceptance, that unsettled him. He decided to stay in the garage a little longer, letting the women continue their conversation in private. He busied himself with checking the security feeds from other rooms, making sure everything was in order. His mind kept drifting back to Anna's words. Was she implying something? He couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling. After another 40 minutes of trivial conversation, Rachel left, and Tom decided it was time to head back into the house. Anna was preparing for the night, setting the table for dinner. Tom joined her, trying to act normal, but he was cautious. He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but he couldn't ignore the nagging doubt in his mind. As Anna went upstairs to shower, Tom pondered over what he had heard. Did she have affairs while she was away? The thought made him sick. He needed to know the truth. That night, Tom couldn't bring himself to sleep next to Anna. He claimed to be tired and took a pillow to the couch in the living room. Anna came downstairs to check on him, but he pretended to be asleep. She tried to wake him, but he didn't budge. Eventually, she gave up and went back to bed. Tom lay there, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing with thoughts of betrayal and sadness. He felt like his world was crumbling. The next morning, Tom woke up to the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of Anna moving around the kitchen. She was already dressed for work. Tom got up, washed his face, and joined her in the kitchen. They didn't exchange many words. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken questions and suspicions. Tom decided to take the day off work. He needed time to process everything and figure out his next steps. He took his laptop and settled in the office corner of their living room. It was a small desk facing the living room, allowing him to work without Anna seeing his screen. She passed by a few times, giving him concerned looks, but she didn't ask what was wrong. It was part of her game, Tom thought. She knew something was up but was waiting for him to make the first move. After calming down a bit, Tom began searching online for private detectives in the cities Anna traveled to. He filled out forms, wrote descriptions of what he needed, and hired 4 detective agencies to investigate her activities. He used his personal credit card to keep everything discreet. He needed information before confronting her. Around 2 p.m., Anna finally asked, "Are you hungry?" Tom didn't want to eat with her. "No," he said, pretending to be busy with his laptop. Anna watched him from the kitchen, trying to figure out what was wrong, but he avoided eye contact. Any wife with nothing to hide would wonder why her husband was distancing himself, Tom thought. "Maybe we could go somewhere," he suddenly suggested, getting up and grabbing his wallet, phone, and car keys. Anna seemed surprised but nodded and grabbed her purse. She already had her phone in her hand, never letting it out of her sight. It was password protected, something Tom had always found odd. As they headed for the door, Tom let Anna go ahead, watching her closely. She was beautiful, young, and until the previous night, he thought she was his. They always took Tom's car when they went out together, so Anna moved to the passenger seat, waiting for him to open the door, as he always did. Considering recent events, this was the last thing he wanted to do, but he forced himself. Whatever happened before she left for her next trip on Thursday, he had to make sure she didn't suspect anything. "I'm sorry for today," Tom said, starting the car. "I think I made a mistake on a project and need to make some quick corrections when I return to work on Monday." Anna sighed in relief. "Then let's not worry about it now," she said, trying to sound cheerful. She restrained herself, looking worried. "The Johnson project?" she asked, referring to a house he had finished 3 weeks ago. Tom nodded. "Yeah, that one. I need to redo some drawings and fix my mistakes. I just hate making mistakes." "You're very hard on yourself," Anna responded, calmer now. "We all make mistakes." They chatted about trivial things, bills, and their weekend plans. Mentally, Tom was thinking about how to deal with the sleeping arrangements. There was no way he could get away with sleeping on the couch again without raising suspicion. When they got home, Tom showered and went to bed with a tablet, pretending to read. Anna joined him, wearing a robe. She lay down beside him, putting her hand on his hip and drawing closer. "Are you angry with me?" she finally asked. Tom didn't respond immediately. He turned to study her face, looking for any signals. "I found your pills in the bathroom," he said. "Are you taking them again?" Anna froze. "Yes," she replied. "I thought we would wait a few months." Tom nodded reluctantly. "No problem," he said, more to himself than to her. Anna was silent for a few seconds, then withdrew her hand. After a few minutes, she turned around and turned off the light on her side. Tom could hear her breathing, and eventually, he started to cry softly. It was all he could bear. He got up, took his tablet, and left the room, going back to the couch. The next morning, Anna was already up and dressed for work. She had made him coffee. "I made you coffee," she said, about to say something else but stopping herself. She probably already realized he was angry with her. "When did you find out about the pills?" she asked. Tom wanted to say it was just yesterday but didn't want her to think he had lied. "Last week," he replied. "And you didn't say anything or ask what I thought about it." "That's all," he added. "But it's okay. If you don't want a baby with me, then I don't want one either." Anna looked at him with a mix of guilt and confusion. "I didn't want to stress you out," she said. Tom nodded and headed out for his morning run. He needed privacy to clear his mind. Running had always helped him focus and regroup. It was something he had started in high school and continued through college and into his adult life. It was a way to cure distraction and self-doubt. Now, as a married man contemplating divorce, he needed it more than ever. In the evening, Anna came home and cooked dinner. Out of courtesy, Tom sat beside her and ate, but he barely finished his plate. "We can talk about the baby when I come back from my trip," she said. Tom nodded. "Sure," he replied, though he didn't believe it would change anything. He was already making plans to uncover the truth about her infidelity. The following Friday, Anna returned from her trip. She went to work first and then came home. By that time, Tom had already cooked dinner and set the table. "Oh my God, honey," she exclaimed. "You really put effort into it." She ran towards him to kiss him. It wasn't a passionate kiss, but the kind of kiss that husbands and wives usually give each other even in public. Tom returned the kiss, but it was quick. There was no awkward moment to worry about at that time, but Tom thought that this kiss and her warm hand touching his would be the last for them. "Ben and Rachel are coming over for dinner," Tom said, checking the stuffed peppers in the oven. "Ben and Rachel?" Anna asked, surprised. "They're coming over tonight?" Tom nodded. "Yes, tonight." Anna paused, trying to understand his sudden change in behavior. "I thought we were spending the evening together," she said, trying to smile politely. Tom watched her go into the room to change. She took off her business suit, clearly planning to take a shower, have dinner, and rest a bit after a long and stressful week. Tom checked his phone for messages one last time. The upstairs shower turned off. If everything went well, Anna would get dressed just in time for their guests. "They're on their way," Tom shouted, but there was no response from Anna. He could imagine why. Seeing Ben and Rachel was probably the last thing she wanted. Anna came downstairs in jeans and a white t-shirt, the straps of her pink bra visible underneath. She wore flip-flops, as they both did when relaxing. "In the fridge," Tom replied, checking the stuffed peppers again. "They'll be ready in 15 minutes at most." "It smells delicious," Anna said. "What's in the pot?" "Pasta," Tom replied. Anna nodded at his choice for dinner, but her eyes were sad. It was a dish Tom had cooked for her on their last anniversary after discovering Greek cuisine during a trip to Europe. Memories of those honeymoon days saddened him, but tonight had to go on. That was part of it. The table was set for 4, 2 on each side. Anna glanced briefly at it, then grabbed a bottle of wine from the refrigerator, opened it, and took a sniff. "Can I ask?" she began, but the doorbell rang. "I'll get it," Tom said, leaving her in the kitchen. "Showtime," he muttered to himself. He opened the door for Rachel and Ben, who were waiting nearby. Rachel gave him a knowing smile and leaned in to kiss him on the lips in front of Ben. "Hello, handsome," she said, stepping back and walking alongside Tom. Ben didn't seem surprised by their public display of affection. "Hello, Ben," Tom said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Come in." Rachel and Anna were already chatting in the kitchen when Tom and Ben walked in. For the first time in a long while, Tom noticed Ben looking around the room, his gaze shifting from Rachel to Anna, and then back to Tom. He looked like a man trying to understand what was happening. "We're having a European dinner," Tom announced. "Sit with me, Rachel." "Anna, sit with Ben." Rachel and Tom exchanged a quick glance and then looked away when Ben laughed nervously. "I quite like a European-themed evening," Rachel said, raising an eyebrow. "From the food to the way we're sitting. And what else do Europeans do? What's going on?" Ben asked, but Tom and Rachel didn't say anything. They were both tense, and Rachel wouldn't stop talking, being herself. Inside, Tom wanted to laugh. Europeans share much more than just seats at the table, he thought. "I wouldn't like that," Rachel said. She shivered for a second and then looked away. "I don't know," Ben replied. "Maybe Europeans have something in this." Rachel and Tom continued chatting, but both were restless. Tom tried to ignore it and filled their glasses with wine again. When they finished eating, Rachel and Tom cleared the dishes. Anna offered to help, but Tom stopped her. "You and Ben just got back from a trip. Go sit in the living room. We'll be there in a few minutes," Tom said. Anna gave him a scared look and a forced smile. Despite the tension, Ben wanted to say something to Rachel, but she went to the bathroom. Tom watched them walk into the living room, exchanging glances. Maybe they whispered, but he couldn't hear what they were talking about. He could imagine it. They were worried. When Rachel came back, she and Tom joined them. "So you two aren't interested in an open European marriage, are you?" Tom said with a smile. Rachel joined him in laughing. Anna and Ben just nervously laughed as if it were a joke. "Too bad," Rachel added, joking with Tom. "What do you think if we watch something?" Tom asked. "I found this movie this week. I think you'll like it." "It's about girls," Rachel asked enthusiastically. "It has both masculine and feminine aspects," Tom replied, turning on the wall-mounted TV and going to the file he saved on a hard drive. The first scene showed shots of a sunny city on the coast. Then it turned to show a naval base as the car headed north and stopped behind a parked taxi in front of a hotel. Ben hesitated for a moment but then recognized the hotel just before the video showed him and Anna getting out of the taxi and entering the hotel hand in hand. By that time, shock was reflected on their faces. The camera followed them as they checked in and then walked to the elevator with their luggage side by side. They held hands again, and when the elevator door closed, they leaned in to kiss. "Tom, can you stop?" Ben said, but Rachel stopped him cold. "Shut up and watch," she said in a cold tone. Both Ben and Anna's faces reflected panic and shame. Their lips trembled as they tried to look away from the screen. The scene changed to the inside of the hotel room, and yes, they put on quite a show. When Tom turned to look at Anna, she was crying. "I thought you would betray me with someone better than me," Tom said. "Shut up, Tom," Ben finally spoke, but Rachel slapped him and stared at him. "It's okay," Ben said. "He does the same to you sometimes," Anna replied. "When he changes his mood, I told you not to mention Tom when we do this," Rachel said. "Then why not?" Ben asked. "Guilty conscience," Anna said, returning to the room. "I just don't want to talk about him." "You're killing the mood," Ben replied. Then they lay on the bed, and the video lasted almost an hour. They both took a nap. Anna woke up first and lay with her face to the side, away from Ben. Then he woke up and reached for her. She didn't resist and let him turn her face down when he put a pillow under her hips. Rachel, who had seen this video before, looked at Ben with cold, hard eyes. She was angry but resigned to the fact that she saw evidence of his betrayal. Anna, for her part, stopped watching and sobbed silently. Both were in San Francisco at that time. The screen went blank, and Tom stopped it. Ben looked at Tom angrily as Rachel got up and came to sit beside Tom. "Well," she said, "that was instructive, wasn't it?" Ben finally looked at Tom. "How did you find out?" was the only thing he asked. "I turned the screen back on. As I expected, he and Rachel were talking in our kitchen last week." "You said exactly what I said. What happens when people are not at home doesn't mean anything, is what happened, Anna. I told you that's what gave you away. It made me think you were lying to me. I didn't know with whom, but then I realized it was you." "I already had my suspicions," Rachel interrupted. "The way you two always manage to cross paths on trips, like sometimes you avoid each other in conversation." She stopped and turned to Tom. "It's funny that tonight you felt guilty and were constantly checking each other." Both were pathetic. "I've hired investigators in the 4 cities you've been to," Tom said. Anna gasped and shook her head. She let out another sigh, knowing there was more to come. The next video showed Anna with another man in a bar, then walking into a hotel room. Inside the room, she did something similar to this man as she did with Ben. Rachel and Tom burst into laughter when they saw Anna's outburst and the desperation on her face. Ben and Anna looked at each other and then at Rachel and Tom. "But wait," Tom said sarcastically, "that's not all." In the continuation of the video, Ben was in a room in Las Vegas with a slim, muscular woman named Nina. "My husband never does that to me," Nina said. "I'm glad I could help," Ben replied, entering the bathroom. Unable to contain himself, Tom clapped his hands. "How charming," Rachel said. "Cheaters cheat on each other. Priceless captures." After that, they all fell silent, each lost in their thoughts. Anna spoke first. "Tom," she said, looking at him with trembling lips and a trembling voice, "so what do we have left?" "You know," Tom said to both of them. "Rachel and I had a few days to come to terms and talk. We are both understanding people. In fact, neither of us is a hypocrite. If either or both of you had raised the issue of our exchange, we would have agreed. Honestly, I thought you would ask me, Anna, but you chose a different path, didn't you? You could have asked me openly and honestly so that we could make this decision and walk this path together. Instead, you chose to act behind my back. You chose a selfish way to do what you like and keep me in the dark. You chose to lie to me and betray me. You betrayed us, Anna. How can I forgive this? How can I get over the fact that you decided to act behind my back and think you have the right to do whatever you want when you travel? Well, not just on trips. How long after you started doing it here? I bet you've already done it." Rachel said, "They told me at his job that your dear wife took him to lunch several times, Anna." Anna stepped away, and so did Ben. "What do you guys want?" Ben asked calmly. Well, Rachel said, it seems we have everything we need from both of you. Neither of us has children, so all we have to worry about is how to divide our assets. And since infidelity can be used in court in Texas, both of you will regret it. Give me your phones, both of you, Tom said. Anna shuddered but handed it over, unlocked. Ben resisted, but Rachel stepped closer and simply took his mobile phone. It's not locked, she said, handing it to Tom. Give me a minute, I'll check his cloud account. It took her a few minutes. Tom went through Anna's phone. He hadn't noticed anything either, but he took a look at her gallery and found photos of Ben and another man. There were photos of men and a couple of videos. Wow, Anna, Tom said, shaking his head as she looked away. This is how it's going to happen. I'll never be able to trust again. Too many lies in too short a time. As he spoke, Rachel made a call. Let's go, she said, turning to see what was happening. Both work in companies where there are moral standards. They forgot that. I could almost see the panic on their faces. Both their bosses and their legal departments will be very disappointed with their antics. One of them chases skirts himself, but his company had to pay for one of his indiscretions, so now he lets his HR and legal departments go after those who break the rules. That must be your boss, Ben, Tom muttered. That's why you're in trouble, Rachel told him. I've given you everything you've ever asked for in bed. I gave you all of me, and I never held back unless I was sick. You stabbed me in the back, Ben. It's over between us. Well, not yet, he wanted to say. What do you mean? Tom asked. Well, I resumed the story. Divorces are a fact, and both of you will sign papers giving us 70% of the assets each. If you fight us, the video of your performances will reach your families and friends, as well as your employers. Anna looked at Tom pleadingly. Please, we can really try to fix it, she said. Anna, Tom smiled. If you saw a video of me sleeping with someone behind your back, would you try to fix it? Please give me a chance, she pleaded. I did, Tom snapped. You and I had problems before you went on tour and decided to do it anyway. You decided to start taking pills without talking to me. We're married. We decided to live together and make decisions together. You betrayed me and lost my trust before even sleeping with him and anyone else. You lost respect for me, so it was easy for you. I just want to know one thing. Anna looked away and then back at Tom. I never had experience with other men before you. The guy came in less than a minute, Tom. That was my experience before you. I wanted to try with others and find out what it's like. Tom looked at her incredulously. Anna, why hadn't you thought about that before marrying me? He said. This is something people do before, not after getting married. Marriage isn't just an obligation, it's a contract between two people. It means both are against the whole world, and marriage is exclusive until both parties agree. Well, you know about forsaking all others. She wanted to say something but stopped and then spoke. Tom, I wanted to go out and have fun before the wedding, but then you came along, and I didn't want to risk losing you. For the first few years, everything was so good between us, but this past year, it all came back to me. I started wondering what other men would be like. No love. I had you for that. That's all I wanted. Tom shook his head, frustrated. All you had to do was ask me. All you had to do was talk to me here at home. We could have found people we know and trust. Hell, I would have allowed you to be with him if we all decided to do it together since everyone we were friends with. Instead, both of you went behind our backs and violated our trust, Tom said. With trust and love comes respect. You've lost all respect for me by acting behind my back. We could have figured it out together, but you chose to do it without me. Rachel felt the same way, along with me. That's for you too, Ben, Tom said. Especially after talking to you. It was Tom's turn to look surprised when Ben turned and Anna looked at Rachel in astonishment. Did you do that? He asked. What did she say? She told me she would never share me with Tom and would leave me if I ever brought it up again or if she found out, Rachel replied. Can you believe it? Anna shook her head, looking at Ben, then stepping away and hitting him. You're a terrible person, she told him when he tried to cover himself from the second and third blows. When we started, Tom said, we should bring them, but no, you said they'd never get over it and would leave us. I've been listening to you, and now where are we? You've become a fallen woman. Not long, Ben said angrily. And after me, you started being with others, so don't act like a saint with me. I remember our first kiss on Christmas last year. You let me kiss you for 1 or 2 minutes when Rachel was in the bathroom, and Tom went out to the car. It didn't take me long to get you in bed, actually less than a week. I remember that night. Everything seemed perfect, a party with our best friends, and while his wife and I were out of sight, he and my wife were kissing. I hate you, she told him. It's mutual, he replied. Rachel and Tom watched them as they exchanged looks of fury. They watched them with disdain and distrust. There was some hope after that, but it seemed hopeless. There were too many lies and too much betrayal along the way. If we had children or were older, maybe I would have been weak and thought about it, but I was young, and there were no children to tie us down. I wanted to leave. The doorbell rang again. This time Rachel opened the door. She returned with a woman carrying 2 bags and a smartphone. Anna Madison came. She asked my wife, who nodded. She has been served. She handed her an envelope and took a picture. Ben Jerson, she asked Ben, who nodded. He has been served too. She openly wept with the papers in her hands. Rachel turned to me and shrugged. It's over between us. Go home, pack your things, and leave. I never want to see you again. Understand? If you say something to me, I'll send the video to your parents, your job, and anyone you might consider a friend. Got it? Anna didn't move but then turned to Tom and did something he didn't expect. She knelt down and crawled to Rachel and Tom. Please, pleading with both of us, please forgive me and give us another chance. I know it's all my fault. Do whatever you want with me, just don't kick me out, Tom. Please, Rachel, talk to him, she begged both of us. Anna looked at Tom pleadingly, and he immediately realized that this was his test as a man. Yes, he loved her. No matter how devoted he felt, he still loved her. But still, what she did was unforgivable. But he felt that kicking her out like this would simply be wrong. But he would never trust her again. Rachel will move in here and into my room, Tom said, looking her in the eyes. I understand, Anna said, choking back a sob. I deserve it. I need to talk to her about you. It's clear. The door closed. Ben left, and Rachel came back. What are you going to do with her? Rachel asked Tom. I know, Tom said. I'm not going to do anything with her. Anna looked at each of them with desperation. Please, was all she said. Shut up, Rachel responded and pushed her back to the floor. Anna lay there for a second or two, then got on her knees. Tom, please don't divorce me, Anna said to Tom. Pack your things and leave. I never want to see you again. Understand? If you say something to me, I'll send the video to your parents, your job, and anyone you might consider a friend. Got it? We came out better than we thought, Rachel said, approaching Tom. They brought it upon themselves, Tom added as they watched his ex-wife's car disappear in the distance. Every spouse has the opportunity to cheat. Not all of them do. It's curious, Rachel said, turning back to Tom. What's funny? He asked as she undressed. Some people think they have an open marriage but forget to tell their spouse about it. Tom spent the rest of that Tuesday night on the couch, unable to find sleep. He replayed Anna's conversation with Rachel in his mind over and over again. Each time, it felt like another piece of his heart was being chipped away. He knew he needed more than just suspicions, he needed concrete evidence. The thought of confronting Anna without proof was out of the question. His mind was made up, he needed to know the truth. The following morning, Tom woke up with a newfound determination. He called his office and informed them that he would be working from home for the next few days. He needed the privacy and flexibility to conduct his investigation. With Anna gone to work, he had the house to himself, and it was time to start gathering information. Tom's first step was to thoroughly check the security system. He accessed the recordings stored in their cloud account and meticulously reviewed the footage from the past few weeks. It was a painstaking process, but he knew it was necessary. He fast-forwarded through hours of mundane footage, looking for anything out of the ordinary. Finally, his patience paid off. He found several instances where Anna would take long phone calls, often leaving the room to speak in hushed tones. It wasn't definitive proof, but it was enough to deepen his suspicions. Next, Tom turned to the internet. He needed professional help, and after a few hours of research, he found Detective Mike, a highly recommended private investigator. Detective Mike had a reputation for being discreet and thorough, which was exactly what Tom needed. He contacted the detective and arranged a meeting for that afternoon. Detective Mike was a no-nonsense kind of guy. He listened intently as Tom explained the situation, nodding occasionally and jotting down notes. When Tom finished, the detective leaned back in his chair and gave a small nod. All right, Tom, I understand your situation. Here's what we'll do. I'll place surveillance on your wife during her trips. We'll track her movements, monitor her communications, and see if there's any suspicious activity. If she's meeting someone, we'll find out." Tom felt a mix of relief and anxiety. He was relieved that someone was finally taking action, but anxious about what they might find. He agreed to the plan and provided Detective Mike with all the necessary details about Anna's upcoming trips to New York, San Francisco, Chicago, and Atlanta. For the next few days, Tom tried to maintain a sense of normalcy at home. He didn't want Anna to suspect anything. He continued with his usual routines, but his mind was always elsewhere. He checked in with Detective Mike regularly, hoping for updates. The first update came from Anna's trip to New York. Detective Mike reported that Anna had met with a man in a hotel bar. They had drinks, laughed, and seemed very comfortable with each other. Tom's heart sank as he read the report. The detective included pictures, and there was no mistaking the familiarity between Anna and the man. The surveillance continued. In San Francisco, Anna was seen with a different man. They had dinner at a cozy restaurant and then headed to a hotel. Again, there were pictures. Tom felt a wave of nausea wash over him as he looked at the images. Each report confirmed his worst fears. Chicago and Atlanta were no different. Anna met different men in each city, and Detective Mike documented everything with meticulous detail. By the end of the week, Tom had a stack of evidence that proved beyond a doubt that Anna was being unfaithful. With the evidence in hand, Tom felt a mixture of devastation and clarity. He knew what he had to do next. Confronting Anna without exposing everything in a way that would ensure he had the upper hand was crucial. He planned another dinner with Rachel and Ben, this time with the intention of revealing the truth. When Anna returned from her trip to Atlanta, Tom greeted her with a forced smile. He tried to keep his emotions in check, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. Anna seemed oblivious, going about her routine as if nothing had changed. Tom's mind was racing, but he remained outwardly calm. The night of the dinner arrived. Tom had prepared everything meticulously. The food was ready, the table set, and the living room arranged for maximum impact. When Rachel and Ben arrived, Tom could see the unease in their eyes. They had no idea what was coming, but they could sense the tension. After the usual pleasantries, they sat down for dinner. The conversation was awkward at first, filled with small talk and forced laughter. Tom could see Anna and Ben exchanging nervous glances. It was almost time. As they finished their meal, Tom stood up and cleared his throat. "There's something I want to show you all," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. He walked over to the TV and connected his laptop. "I've been doing some digging, and I think it's time we all saw the truth." The room fell silent as Tom played the videos and displayed the pictures Detective Mike had gathered. The images of Anna with different men in different cities filled the screen. The evidence was undeniable. Anna's face turned pale, and she looked like she might collapse. Rachel gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. Ben sat in stunned silence, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. The room was thick with tension as the reality of the situation sank in. "Anna," Tom said, his voice shaking with emotion. "How could you do this to us? How could you betray me like this?" Anna tried to speak, but no words came out. Tears streamed down her face as she looked around the room, her eyes filled with guilt and shame. Rachel finally found her voice. "Ben," she said, her voice trembling. "Did you know about this?" Ben shook his head, unable to speak. The silence that followed was deafening. Tom took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Anna, I don't see how we can come back from this. I've already spoken to a lawyer, and I think it's best if we separate. You can take some time to think about what you've done, but I don't think there's any way we can fix this." Anna nodded, unable to argue. She knew the truth was out, and there was no denying it. The evening ended in a tense, painful silence. Rachel and Ben left shortly after, each lost in their own thoughts. Tom felt a strange sense of relief. The truth was out, and the path forward, though painful, was clear. He knew there would be difficult days ahead, but at least now he could begin to heal and move on from the betrayal. That night, as he lay in bed alone, Tom reflected on the events of the past week. He knew he had made the right decision, but it didn't make the pain any less. He hoped that, in time, he would be able to rebuild his life and find happiness again. For now, he would take it one day at a time, knowing that he had done everything he could to uncover the truth and protect himself from further harm. The days leading up to the dinner with Rachel and Ben were a blur for Tom. He spent every spare moment going over the evidence Detective Mike had gathered, preparing himself for the confrontation that would change all their lives. The anticipation was almost unbearable, but he knew he needed to stay focused and calm. When the day finally arrived, Tom felt a strange mix of dread and determination. The house was eerily quiet as Tom set the table and prepared the last details for the evening. Anna was upstairs, getting ready, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. Tom took a deep breath and steeled himself. This was it, the moment of truth. Rachel and Ben arrived right on time. Rachel's bright smile faded as she sensed the tension in the room. Ben, looking a bit uneasy, greeted Tom with a nod. They exchanged pleasantries, but the atmosphere was charged with unspoken emotions. They all sat down for dinner, the clinking of cutlery and forced small talk filling the silence. As they finished their meal, Tom knew it was time. He stood up, clearing his throat to get everyone's attention. "There's something I need to show you all," he said, his voice steady but filled with underlying emotion. Anna looked up, puzzled, while Rachel and Ben exchanged worried glances. Tom walked over to the TV and connected his laptop, his hands slightly shaking. He took a deep breath and pressed play. The screen came to life with footage of Anna in New York, San Francisco, Chicago, and Atlanta. The images of her with different men in hotel bars and rooms played out in stark clarity. Each frame was a blow, each moment a piece of the puzzle falling into place. The room was filled with gasps and muffled cries as the truth became undeniable. Anna's face went pale, and she looked like she might faint. Rachel covered her mouth with her hands, tears streaming down her face. Ben sat in stunned silence, his expression a mix of shock and disbelief. "Anna," Tom began, his voice breaking. "How could you do this to us? How could you betray me like this?" Anna tried to speak, but no words came out. She looked around the room, her eyes pleading for understanding, but finding none. Rachel finally found her voice. "Ben, did you know about this?" she asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Ben shook his head, unable to speak. The silence that followed was suffocating. Tom took a deep breath, trying to maintain his composure. "Anna, I don't see how we can come back from this. I've already spoken to a lawyer, and I think it's best if we separate. You need to take some time to think about what you've done, but I don't think there's any way we can fix this." Anna nodded, tears streaming down her face. She knew the truth was out, and there was no denying it. The evening ended in a painful, heavy silence. Rachel and Ben left shortly after, each lost in their own thoughts and emotions. Tom felt a strange sense of relief as he watched them leave. The truth was out, and the path forward, though painful, was clear. He knew there would be difficult days ahead, but at least now he could begin to heal and move on from the betrayal. That night, as he lay in bed alone, Tom reflected on the events of the evening. He knew he had made the right decision, but it didn't make the pain any less. He hoped that, in time, he would be able to rebuild his life and find happiness again. For now, he would take it one day at a time, knowing that he had done everything he could to uncover the truth and protect himself from further harm. The days following the confrontation were a whirlwind of emotions for everyone involved. Tom and Anna barely spoke, their interactions limited to the necessary logistics of separating their lives. Anna moved into the guest room while she looked for a new place to stay. The house, once filled with warmth and laughter, now felt cold and empty. Rachel reached out to Tom frequently, offering support and a shoulder to lean on. They met for coffee several times, discussing their feelings and trying to make sense of the chaos that had upended their lives. Rachel was furious with Ben, but she was also deeply hurt. She confided in Tom that she wasn't sure if she could ever trust him again. Ben, on the other hand, was a mess. He tried to apologize to Rachel, but his words felt hollow. The betrayal was too deep, and the wounds too fresh. He stayed with a friend for a few days, giving Rachel space to process everything. Despite his regret, he knew that their marriage might be beyond repair. Tom focused on taking one step at a time. He threw himself into work, using it as a distraction from the pain. His colleagues noticed the change in him, but he kept the details of his personal life private. He spent evenings going for long runs, trying to clear his mind and find some semblance of peace. One evening, about a week after the confrontation, Anna approached Tom in the living room. She looked exhausted, her eyes red from crying. "Tom, can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tom nodded, gesturing for her to sit down. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the unspoken words hanging in the air. "I'm sorry," Anna began, her voice trembling. "I know that doesn't change anything, but I need you to know that I'm truly sorry for what I did. I've ruined everything, and I don't know how to fix it." Tom looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Anna, it's not just about the affair. It's about the trust you shattered. The lies, the deceit. How can we rebuild from that?" Anna nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know. I've been trying to understand why I did what I did, and I think I was trying to fill a void. I felt neglected and unappreciated, and I made terrible choices to try and feel something, anything. But it was wrong, and I've lost the most important person in my life because of it." Tom sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Anna, I appreciate your honesty, but I need time. I need space to figure out what's next. I can't just forgive and forget. It's going to take a lot of work, and I don't know if I'm ready for that." Anna nodded, accepting his words. "I understand. I'll move out by the end of the week. I don't want to cause you any more pain." Tom watched as Anna stood up and walked away, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. The road ahead was uncertain, but he knew that he needed to focus on healing and finding his own path forward. As the days turned into weeks, Tom and Anna began the process of separating their lives. Anna found an apartment nearby, and with the help of friends, she moved out of the house. The empty space she left behind was a stark reminder of the life they once shared, but it also represented a new beginning for Tom. Rachel and Ben's relationship remained strained. Rachel struggled with the betrayal and wasn't sure if she could ever fully forgive Ben. They decided to take a break, giving each other space to heal and reflect. Ben moved into a small apartment across town, and they agreed to attend couples therapy to see if there was any hope of rebuilding their marriage. Tom continued to lean on Rachel for support. They met regularly, finding solace in each other's company. Their shared experiences created a bond that was difficult to explain, but it brought them comfort during a time of immense pain. One evening, Tom and Rachel sat in a quiet cafe, sipping coffee and talking about their future. "I don't know what's next," Tom admitted, staring into his cup. "I feel like I'm just going through the motions, trying to figure out who I am without Anna." Rachel nodded, understanding his struggle. "It's going to take time, Tom. We've both been through a lot, and it's okay to feel lost. But we're not alone in this. We have each other, and we'll get through it together." Tom looked up, meeting Rachel's gaze. "Thank you, Rachel. I don't know what I'd do without you." Rachel reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "We'll find our way, Tom. One step at a time." As they walked out of the cafe, the sun setting behind the mountains, Tom felt a glimmer of hope. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but with Rachel by his side, he knew he had the strength to face whatever came next. The next few months were a time of profound change for Tom, Anna, Rachel, and Ben. Each of them embarked on their own journey of healing and self-discovery, navigating the complexities of their emotions and the aftermath of betrayal. For Tom, life began to take on a new rhythm. With Anna gone, the house felt emptier but also more peaceful. He found solace in his work, throwing himself into new projects and using his creativity as an outlet for his emotions. His colleagues noticed a renewed vigor in his designs, a reflection of his determination to rebuild his life. One evening, Tom received a call from Detective Mike. The case was officially closed, and the detective wanted to check in one last time. "Tom, I just wanted to let you know that the surveillance is complete. There's nothing more to uncover. I hope you can find some closure and move forward." "Thank you, Mike," Tom replied, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. "I appreciate everything you've done. It's been a tough journey, but I'm ready to start fresh." As Tom hung up the phone, he felt a sense of finality. The truth had been exposed, and now it was time to heal. He decided to take a short trip to the mountains, a place he had always found calming. The fresh air and serene landscapes provided the perfect backdrop for introspection. Meanwhile, Anna was adjusting to her new life in her apartment. The reality of her actions weighed heavily on her, and she committed herself to therapy to understand why she had made such destructive choices. Her therapist, Dr. Mitchell, helped her unpack the layers of her emotions and insecurities. "Anna," Dr. Mitchell said during one session, "it's important to understand that seeking validation and excitement outside of your marriage was a symptom of deeper issues. You need to work on building self-worth and finding fulfillment within yourself." Anna nodded, tears in her eyes. I realize that now. I've hurt the people I love the most, and I don't know if I can ever make it right. But I'm willing to put in the work to change. Dr. Mitchell smiled encouragingly. That's a good start, Anna. Healing takes time, but with commitment and honesty, you can move forward. Rachel and Ben were also navigating their own challenges. Rachel decided to continue with couples therapy, unsure if their marriage could be salvaged but willing to give it a try for the sake of closure, if nothing else. Ben was remorseful, acknowledging his mistakes and the pain he had caused. Rachel, Ben said during one therapy session, I know I've hurt you deeply, and I'm sorry. I want to do whatever it takes to make things right, but I understand if you can't forgive me. Rachel looked at him, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and determination. Ben, I appreciate your honesty. It's going to take time, and I don't know if we can ever go back to what we were. But for now, let's focus on healing individually and see where that takes us. As weeks turned into months, Rachel and Tom's friendship deepened. They continued to support each other, finding strength in their shared experiences. Their bond grew stronger, but it was also clear that they were both wary of rushing into anything new. They needed time to heal and rediscover themselves before considering the possibility of a new relationship. One evening, Tom invited Rachel over for dinner. They had spent many evenings together, but this one felt different. There was a sense of calm and understanding between them, a recognition of the journey they had both endured. Rachel, Tom began as they sat down to eat, I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened. It's been a difficult road, but I'm grateful for your support. I don't know what the future holds, but I want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what. Rachel smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you, Tom. You've been my rock through all of this. I don't know what's next either, but I'm glad we have each other. As they enjoyed their meal, Tom felt a sense of peace. The future was still uncertain, but he knew that with Rachel by his side, he could face whatever challenges came their way. Anna continued her therapy, slowly rebuilding her life and working towards forgiveness. She reached out to Tom, hoping for a chance to make amends. Tom, Anna said during a coffee meeting they had agreed upon, I know I can't undo the past, but I want you to know that I'm truly sorry. I've been working on myself, and I hope that one day we can find a way to be friends, or at least not be enemies. Tom looked at her, seeing the sincerity in her eyes. Anna, I appreciate your apology. It's going to take time, but I hope we can both find happiness, whether together or apart. As they parted ways, Tom felt a sense of closure. It wasn't an easy path, but he knew it was the right one. He had chosen to focus on healing and moving forward, and that was all that mattered. Rachel and Ben's journey continued to be challenging. They attended therapy sessions, sometimes together and sometimes separately. Rachel was unsure if she could ever fully trust Ben again, but she appreciated his efforts to make amends. One day, Rachel and Tom decided to take a hike in the mountains. The fresh air and beautiful scenery provided a perfect backdrop for reflection. As they reached the summit, they sat down to take in the view. Tom, Rachel began, I've been thinking a lot about us. We've been through so much, and I value our friendship deeply. I don't want to rush into anything, but I also don't want to ignore the connection we have. Tom nodded, understanding her hesitation. I feel the same way, Rachel. We've both been hurt, and it's important to take things slow. Let's focus on healing and see where life takes us. As they sat there, watching the sun set behind the mountains, Tom and Rachel felt a sense of hope. They had both endured immense pain, but they had also found strength and resilience within themselves and each other. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but they were ready to face it together, one step at a time. Months passed, and Tom continued to rebuild his life. He focused on his career, taking on new and exciting projects. He also spent more time with friends and family, reconnecting with those he had lost touch with. Rachel continued her therapy and worked on healing from the betrayal. She and Ben decided to officially separate, recognizing that their marriage had been irreparably damaged. As the year came to an end, Tom and Rachel found themselves spending more time together. They supported each other through the highs and lows, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, as they sat by a cozy fire, Tom looked at Rachel and realized how much he valued her presence in his life. Rachel, he said softly, I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I want you to be a part of it. Whether as friends or something more, I'm grateful for you. Rachel smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. Tom, I feel the same way. We've been through so much, and I'm thankful for your support. Let's take things one day at a time and see where life takes us. As they sat there, the fire crackling softly, Tom and Rachel felt a sense of peace and hope. They had both been through a journey of pain and healing, but they had emerged stronger and more resilient. Together, they were ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that they had each other to lean on. The lessons they had learned through their trials were clear. Trust, honesty, and communication were the foundations of any strong relationship. They knew that moving forward, they would need to be open and honest with each other, to value the bond they had built, and to never take each other for granted. As the new year dawned, Tom and Rachel looked forward to a fresh start. They were ready to embrace the future, filled with hope and determination. Their journey was far from over, but they knew that with each other's support, they could overcome any obstacle and build a life filled with love, trust, and happiness. And so, with hearts open and spirits strong, Tom and Rachel stepped into the new year, ready to face whatever challenges came their way. They had learned to value each other, to cherish the moments they shared, and to always strive for honesty and trust. Their journey had been difficult, but it had also brought them closer together, forging a bond that could withstand any storm. Together, they were ready to embrace the future, one step at a time, knowing that they had each other to lean on, to support, and to love. The past was behind them, and the future was theirs to create. With hope in their hearts and determination in their souls, Tom and Rachel looked forward to the adventures that lay ahead, confident in the strength of their bond and the power of their love. Thank you for tuning in to Storytime Audio. We hope you found the journey through the double life, secrets of a cheating wife, as gripping and thought-provoking as we did. Tom and Rachel's story is a poignant reminder of the complexities of trust and the power of resilience. As they step into a new chapter of their lives, we are left with the hope that even in the face of betrayal, true strength and new beginnings can emerge. Stay with us for more intriguing stories that reveal the many facets of human relationships. Until next time, keep listening and stay curious.